Show you how to stitch them together.
Okay. So we started the recording and I got cut off. So we're restarting the recording again, and we are about to share some successes that we've had for this last month. So who would like to share a success? Go ahead and speak out. Come on, you guys. Who's that?
I think it was your echo.
It's my echo. Everybody's quiet. Has it been a quiet month? Is our biggest success just getting on tonight live and getting moving again in the new year? All right. All right. I think maybe we'll leave it go at that, and we'll move on. All right. Oh, yeah, it's an echo. All right. I'm going to go ahead and unmute, or I'm sorry, mute everyone except for Justin. And you're at 2049, right, Justin?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. 2049. There we go. Justin, you're still on. Great. All right. I am, once again, so excited to have Justin Lee on here, our Blue Diamond upline, and he is going to talk to us about how to do a doTERRA presentation using Emerge Sales skills. And so I'm excited to have him on. Justin, I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to you.
All righty. Hey, thanks for that introduction, and thanks for having me on your team call. I'm really happy with the results that I've seen because of the Emerge Sales training. And I'm going to assume that you have already been familiarized somewhat. Is that correct, Cynthia, that everybody here's at least heard about it and has had some exposure?
To the best of my ability. Some of them have actually been through the training, and some of them are just learning principles as we go.
Okay, great. So the principle that I'm going to cover is the actual appointment, whether it be a one-on-one or a class. They're very, very similar. The Emerge Sales training focuses sort of on one-on-ones because your enrollment percentage tends to be higher, but your results may be somewhat different. Some of you are really good in front of a class. You also, there's some economy of scale, there's some efficiency in that you can talk to more people at one time when you do a class. But if you find it hard to set up classes, then by all means, just roll into one-on-ones and do the same basic thing. So what that looks like is there's a little bit of a reiteration of what you told them when you set up the appointment. Because when you set up the appointment, you tell them what you're going to go over. You say something like, we're going to talk about doTERRA essential oils. We're going to talk about the company. We're going to talk about your needs. I'm going to go over some of the most popular products. And then I'm going to show you how to buy them. Okay? That's the brief outline right there. You can change that to in some ways. You can totally make it your own as long as you go over and tell them what you're going to talk about. So then when you actually sit down to do the appointment, well, then you're just going to remind them what you said you were going to talk about. We're going to talk about doTERRA. We're going to talk about essential oils and the most popular products. I'm going to show you how to get them into your home or show you how to buy them. Okay? I've always found that it's very helpful for me to actually tell people what I'm going to do, because it makes it so that I then do it like I said. So that's super helpful in simplifying what you're going to do. Now, for the longest time in doTERRA, everybody wanted to be individuals, and that's okay. And they want to do their business their own way, and that's okay. You definitely should do your business your own way. But there's some things that are in common, which is the sales process and closing people. In other words, actually getting people to enroll and actually getting people to use the product, whether they are a customer or a wellness advocate. That kind of thing happens pretty much the same everywhere. And what I found was that with the Emerge Sales Training principles under your belt, when you've mastered them, well, then you're able to do it your own way. And until then, you're just kind of fumbling along, because what you want is a foundation that is productive, or a foundation that is effective. So you want to do things that actually work. And in order to do that, you can fumble around and invent your own way to do it, and find some things that work. But unless you've had a lot of sales training, there's going to be some things that you're missing. Or you can get familiar with the Emerge Sales Training stuff and dominate it. Then you'll know that you have all of the critical elements of contacting, inviting, the teaching, the following up, the asking for referrals. You have that down. There's a script for each one of those things. And what it does is it lets you sort of get on cruise control when you get into a teaching moment. It also lets you relax all the rest of the time. Because when it's not a teaching moment, you don't have to be on. Now, some of you are really good at enrolling people on airplanes, and you're going to find, or anywhere that you find them, in the parks or wherever else, that's awesome. And not everybody is that good. And when you have the Emerge Sales Training, it lets you have a little bit more confidence. For example, if you don't feel very comfortable enrolling people on airplanes, or at work, or in the grocery store line, I've heard a grocery store line, or at the park, the Emerge Sales Training lets you become confident in making appointments so that your business occupies that part of your life that you assign to it. All of you are busy doing other things. And so when you are able to keep it to where you set up appointments, then it doesn't just kind of spread out and take over your entire life. The way I like to think about it is, if you ran into a lawyer or a doctor, you wouldn't necessarily want them to start giving you legal advice or examining you medically just at the park or on the airplane. You would expect a professional to meet you in an office or a clinic, wherever they do business, and to conduct their business in that setting. And so if you treat yourself like a professional, then you make an appointment. You can still do your work in their home or in a coffee shop or in your office, but you'll want to do it at a set time. That's how professionals work. Now, if you love just teaching, and really a lot of people like talking about essential oils on airplanes, they like talking about them at the park, if that's where you find yourself. So don't hold back and not teach people if somebody is asking questions. Just don't feel like you have to do it at any time. Does that make sense? I hope that's really clear. Let me go over some of the principles of the class. A class can take 30 minutes, and that is plenty of time to go over the basics. So what are you going to leave out is you leave out a lot of the details about the company, and you probably leave out a lot of the details about the oils that they aren't particularly interested in. Generally, you only go over the 10 oils in the the Family Physician Kit. Isn't that what it's still called? What's it called nowadays?
Family Essentials Kit now.
Family Essentials Kit.
Yeah. Right.
So you go over the 10,
mm-hmm.
or the Home Essentials.
Yeah.
You go over the 10 basic oils. And if a person has interest, or if they have health concerns that are outside of those 10 basic oils, well, then you'll add in 1 or 2 or 3 products that are specifically directed towards their concern. And you, of necessity, reduce a little bit about what you say about the other oils. Not because the person wouldn't benefit from the information. They would, but they're just not listening. When we teach a class that's 2 or 3 hours long, people's attention span anymore is just not that long. And they really want to know what it is that is good for them. And when they stop asking questions, you can know then that it's time to get to the close. So let me summarize what we've gone over. You tell them in the beginning, we're going to talk about doTERRA. We're going to talk about the oils, the popular products. We're going to show her the kits, and then show her how to buy them, right? So there's those 4 things. So when you talk about doTERRA, it's just really simple. It's just a couple of lines. And the reason I'm being really vague on this is because you guys know what you want to say. In the script, there are some really good suggested things to say. If you like those things, say them. If you like something else, say them. Just don't say tons more than what's in the script. Okay? There are a couple of key things that are really important, and that is, I'm going to show you how to buy. I'll show you how to order, those kind of things, because this is a company that's driven by sales. And in the United States, people actually love to buy things. So don't be worried about showing them how to buy something. They expect it. And the more you do it and the more you become comfortable with it, the more it's just part of what you do. And it doesn't lessen the fact that you care about them and that you want them to have some benefit in their healing, in their life. You want their life to get better and their health to get better. So you talk about doTERRA, a couple of lines. You go over very briefly some of the oils. There is a flip chart that you can use. I think that's in the Emerge Sales Training, and it's wonderful. It's brief. You just flip right through it, and then you get to the kits, and you show them the 2 kits that you are good at selling. I would suggest if you don't enroll many people right now, that you would most likely keep those kits that you show them to be the 2 smallest kits. Okay, if the person really needs some supplements, then you might trade out one of those kits for one of the kits that supplement, because then you're showing them what is of value to them. Now, at any point in time that the person asks specific questions about something else, show them more. You're not intentionally or like hiding things. If they say, I really want to know about balance, well, then you're going to tell them about balance. If they really want to know about Terrazyme or any of the other supplements that are not part of the basic kits, then tell them about those things and answer their questions. So it's more about what they want to know and less about what you came to teach. When you get to the end, you just real briefly, those 10 oils are in this kit and they're in that one. These are, do you want small bottles or big bottles? And you let them choose. And then you fill out the paperwork, or if you want to, you do it online and away you go. So the classes can be very simple. The more effective you are, the simpler it is. I've used this class to teach this script. The guy was in a hurry, but I taught the class in 5 minutes and enrolled him. And he was very happy, and he uses LRP every single month to this day. And it's been about 8 months. So I did this last year sometime. And he only had 5 minutes, and I knew I could do it in 5 minutes. It used to be that I'd be like, oh, I can't teach it in 5 minutes. There's just no way you can know it all. But I just don't believe that anymore. It doesn't matter how much time they have. You can do it in 30 minutes, and it's better. People can get on with their lives, and they know that when they come to you, they're going to get like a power pack full of information in a brief time, not a big commitment for 3 hours or 4 hours. Now, many of them will want something longer than that. That will come after the enrollment. So what I'm talking about is the very first exposure needs to be fast. It needs to be, not that you're hurried, it just needs to be brief. And you need to go over the basic things that apply to the person, and you need to move to the close and close them. One of the best things I like about Emerge Sales is the troubleshooting. In the scripts, it gives you things to say when the person doesn't close, when they don't buy. And there's 3 or 4 different things that you say that can narrow it in to if it's a price issue, or if they need to talk to their husband, or if it's pretty likely that they're just going to buy after they go home and look. But it gives you the things to say so that you know exactly what to do when things don't go perfectly, so that you still know what to do after the fact. Now, no training is going to make you 100% effective. You're not going to close everybody that you teach. The Emerge Sales Training is geared to get you closing about 7 out of 10. And some of you close more than that. if you close less than that, if you're able to enroll fewer than 7 out of 10, then consider that no matter how experienced you are, there's probably something in your sales skills that can be tightened up to make your enrollment percentage go up. And that's the thing. One of the things I like a lot about the Emerge sales is it lets you improve. Now, if you're already enrolling 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 people, then welcome the Emerge sales training into your team, because a lot of people are going to need it. But it's not necessarily something that I would suggest you spend your time to go do unless you're looking for something and you want kind of a solid foundation, because basically you're doing great. And, don't fix it if it's not broken. But if you're not enrolling at least 7 out of 10, then just consider that there's something else that could be done in your skills that will make a difference in the enrollment percentage, which has a clear effect on the bottom line. You will make more money, you will help more people, and you will serve more people. Your team will be bigger if you enroll more people. Cynthia, did I leave anything out?
I was thinking about something on the Emerge sales that I just really liked, and you mentioned it. I'm not sure you got it in your list though, but you were talking about, find out what they want to know and find out what applies to the person. One of the reasons I really liked the Emerge sales class is because that is one of the first things that we start talking about. So it's more like, to me, almost like an office visit. So we ask them basically, what are your health goals? Or what are your health issues? What would you like to accomplish with your health? And so before even talking about the specific oils, you ask them, what is it you want to accomplish? And then as you are talking about those 10 essential oils, then you know which ones to relate back to them. So that it makes that
you're absolutely right.
Meaningful.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That comes right at the very beginning. You tell them what you're going to discuss. And you say, when you ask them, what do you want to know about? And then you tailor everything to what they want to know about. I did skip that. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah.
So it'd be like, before you start talking about the oils, I can't remember what all your steps were, but and when I learned that approach, because we had been taught before to go in and kind of talk about the the company and talk about the oils, and here's the kits, and we hope you buy. The key that was really missing for me was being able to personalize that, because as a naturopath, that's what I do in my practice. I bring somebody in and I ask them, what is it you want to accomplish with your health? What are your health goals? What are your health issues? And then when they tell me that, then I'm able to go back and say, okay, let's talk about, these specific oils. And it makes it much more personal. And that, I believe, is what really drives the closing ratio higher. Plus, as Justin said, you only offer 2 kits. So, and the thing that Tasha says in Emerge Sales is that a confused mind never buys. So you don't lay the whole platter out in front of them, In the classes we used to have, that's what we did. We put out all the oils and all of the products, and here, look at everything that we have. Don't you want to be a member? And they left very confused. So, I think just the whole flow of everything it works a lot better. Yeah. That was great, Justin. Thank you very much. That was the only thing I thought about that I wanted to emphasize there.
That's great. I'm glad you add that in.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do now, though, is open it up to questions, because is that okay if we open it up now, Justin, or was there anything else you wanted to talk about first?
Yeah, let's do questions.
Okay.
No, I don't need.
Okay. I just unmuted everyone. If you want to mute yourself back, again, please do so. But I would like to open the floor up now to ask questions about the class and maybe how it's different from what you're doing or anything.
definitely have a question. So I know that they in Emerge try to get you to focus on just 10 products so that we're not overwhelming people. So I try to keep it around 10 to 13. But whenever I see that there's a kit, let's say it might be the Aroma Touch kit that better fits their needs, and I also want to show them the Home Essentials kit, they're completely different oils. And I don't want to overwhelm them. How do I present a kit that I know would be better for them while still focusing on being able to present two?
Mm-hmm. So that would be in the interview process in the beginning, when you ask them about what their health goals are. So if they start telling you, yeah, I really am just an emotional roller coaster, I would love to stabilize my emotions, I'd like to sleep better, something like that, then you know that you're going to lead them more towards the aromatherapy kit, right? I have some, and you may just want to go that way, and I've done that. I've started to present the 10 basic oils in the kit, and all of a sudden the person's like, oh, I really love the smell of these. I love the smell of the oils. That was all of a sudden her favorite thing. And I said, well, would you be interested more in an aromatherapy kit, with the diffuser? And she's like, yeah, I would. So it really, there's a lot you can learn in that questioning part that I think is left out of our training from before, when you kind of find out what their major interest is, and then you kind of know which kits to guide to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Ask more questions. I've also done it where I went in to present the 10 basic oils, and all of a sudden I'm finding out the person really wants a cleansing program, and they're asking me, is there any way to cleanse myself? I move right into that Cleanse and Restore kit. So it's like you go in, know the basics, teach your new people the basic 10 oils that's in the Family Essentials and the Home Essentials kit. So they've got those down. And then when they're ready to, they can broaden out into the aromatherapy kit or Cleanse and Restore kit or whatever else. But we start there. And Emerge Sales does teach people how to sell those bigger kits, but we just want to get the basics down first for our new people, our new leaders.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Good deal. Thank you. More questions? That was a good one. Did that get everybody?
I have a question for Justin.
Yes, please go ahead.
So in Emerge, actually ask you, or they coach you to do your call separate, to teach them how to order basically on a separate call. And Justin kind of mentioned to actually have that conversation. It sounded like he was saying to have that conversation first, as in the first consultation.
Yeah, I still do it separately, though. I enroll them and then teach them how to order later.
I do too. You can overwhelm them very quickly. So we break it up into baby steps.
So basically, when I said, I'm going to show you how to order it, what I meant was, I'm going to enroll you. But people don't want to hear that. Because they're going to think, after they're enrolled, they're just going to think, oh, great, I ordered it, and I got an email. And then really you're going to show them the sticks and bricks and the nuts and bolts of how to order. If I say that in the beginning, it's just, I'm really going to do this first order with you. I'm going to enroll you. You can say it differently.
How much troubleshooting do you do? Because sometimes I feel like I want to, I don't want to be too pushy. And so sometimes I feel like if you're doing the troubleshooting, it gets a little bit more pushy.
Yeah. I don't do a lot of troubleshooting either. I like 1 or 2 questions just so that I know kind of my next steps, which might be nothing. I'm not going to do anything else, or I'm going to reach back to them, in a day or 2, or I'm going to offer something less expensive.
Okay.
So when I do troubleshooting, it's always from a standpoint of just helping them get what they want and assessing how they felt. And once I'm clear on that, I'm good. Like, I don't do any more. I don't troubleshoot to the point of like forcing a sale or anything.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So just to know what your next step is going to be with them. So you ask enough questions to get to that point. Yeah.
Can I jump in really quick?
Yeah.
This is Anne. I love this system, and it's worked really well for me too. And I'm the type that likes to enroll wherever I am, but I also love the professionality of this system, and I think it works really well for people that want to set up appointments other than just, meeting on an airplane, which I've done a lot of. So I'll tell you one thing that I found a little bit frustrating with the system, and that I've seen that feels a little bit awkward to me, and maybe you can just give the team some guidance. And I don't use they recommend in the class or in the emerge training to like have a pen and paper handy and take notes and be very, I don't know, formal about it almost, and scripted, and have what you're going to say written down. And maybe in the beginning as you're learning, that's a good way to practice. But I found it's way more effective if I'm just having a conversation. And maybe in certain settings, like Cynthia, I know with you, you're working with clients, so it's very normal to be taking notes or writing things down. But for the rest of us who, I don't know, I have really mixed feelings about that. Have you guys, Justin, what's your experience versus Cynthia? For me, I don't like it. Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing that I like about the emerge sales is it's really starting people from zero. Like, if the whole training is starting them from zero to get moving. And once you know it, you're allowed to break the rules. Like one of these phrases that I've lived by is you're not allowed to break any of the rules until you know all the rules. And so I like emerge sales training because it teaches you sort of the rules of enrolling people. And once you know them, then by all means, you're allowed to break them, especially if you get good results. And so by all means, change something and emerge if you still get good results. And Anne's getting great results. There's people I know who write down a lot and still refer to notes and things, but after a while, you get so confident doing it that you don't need that anymore. So I agree that you don't need to be doing the notes forever. What really comes down to the most important thing is what's your enrollment percentage. If you're getting your fair share, then you're doing it right, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, and I absolutely think that especially when you're new and you're meeting with people, that's kind of an icebreaker. Like, hey, I'm kind of new at this, and I just want to refer to my notes so I make sure we don't miss anything. And you can excuse that so that they aren't so focused on that it makes it awkward, and make it more of a conversation.
Yeah, totally.
Oh. So Anne, are you talking about like them having their scripts written down in front of them so that they know exactly what to say? Is that what?
Yeah, I mean, I've been with Diamond Club. I was with a few different presentations, and I've seen some, local presentations here where it just feels a little bit, I don't know any other word, but just kind of awkward. So I just feel like, I don't think there's anything wrong with notes. I think notes are great to refer to them. But my experience and my advice would be just to be as natural as possible and not be so stuck on staying with the script that you miss an opportunity for connection. Does that make sense?
Oh, this one doesn't
Yep.
have.
It makes perfect sense.
Sometimes my favorite script is just whatever's written on the bottle or on the box. Because that's information that they're going to go away with, or that they also receive,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I know that I was encouraged in emerge sales to memorize the scripts. We were not taught to write down scripts and have them with us. We were actually told to, go through those scripts over and over again until you feel comfortable. The writing down part basically was, if you're in a large class, take notes, make a seating chart. And then as people talk about, instead of a one-on-one, say you've got 4 or 5 people in a group, then you make a seating chart of their names. And as they tell you about what their health goals are, the ones that are, want to share, then you write their health goals by their name so that you can be more personal. And God bless your heart. And I just want to say, I don't think you would have trouble talking to anybody.
I don't. That's a problem though. Sometimes
So
drives my husband crazy.
right. So you have the gift of gab, which not a lot of people do. So for me, when I got the scripts, I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. They're telling me what to say, because I don't have the gift of gab,
Well, and I love the scripts too, because they do keep me on track, and it's, and they're in my head. And what I've kind of told my team is, you want to know a lot of stuff, but you don't want to tell them everything you know. So have a few key things that you always say in every presentation that just come naturally and flow, and then have a bucket full of things that you might say depending on the situation and circumstance, or who you're talking to, or what the situation might be. You can pull it out of that reserve that you have. But I definitely think there's a lot of wisdom in having a direction, because it keeps you on task and it keeps the class short and all of that.
yeah.
So.
Yeah. Good comments, everyone. More, who else has questions or comments? James, are you wanting to comment? We can't hear you. Hold on.
Can you?
I can hear you now.
Okay, because I don't have a microphone plugged in. I'm just talking to the speaker. What I like about the Emerge Sales is that it simplified a lot of things that we were doing. And I think the simplicity and the conciseness of the presentation takes away a lot of fear from new people about approaching people or having conversations, or how to bring the topic up, or how to direct it in a professional manner. And I think that it really builds confidence in people to have something that's simple and laid out, to pretty much know where you're going, and you're almost ready to answer whatever question comes up if you just memorize those scripts and get comfortable with them. And then, like it's been said, once you're comfortable with the scripts, you can deviate from them depending upon the particular situation with the individual you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah. I thought the scripting was really good. For those of us who don't have the gift of gab. Anyone else? Questions? So, do you see how this is different than how you might have been presenting? Because like I said before, we were kind of taught to do the whole big class thing. And we talked a lot about the business and the company, and we talked a lot about our experiences, and now please buy these oils, where you take it totally and turn it around and say, what is your health goal? What are your desires? It's all about you. It's not about me. It's not about the company. It's really about you. And then you connect the dots with the oils, and then keep your clothes simple, like 2 choices at the most. Yeah.
I love it. Having been around as this is all, like we used to teach the medicine cabinet makeover, and they would go on and on for hours, people would share all their stories, and it was this long thing. And so I really love, like James said, the simplicity of it and the confidence that it gives you and how it makes it about them. I definitely think that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said the shortness of it. I love that too, because after an hour and a half, you're asking people, well, do you want to buy? They're like, I got a babysitter and I'm tired. I just want to go home,
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
So
eyes glaze over.
Yeah. So 30 minutes is enough to connect with people and then get them to close and let them go home. Yeah.
I think that shift in the method of a presentation, it really it puts the focus on the prospect that you're talking to and their problems or their concerns. And in that respect, I think it really shifts everything from sales to service. It really puts you in that whole framework of service rather than trying to sell something And I think that can make people a lot more comfortable.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. And one more thing that I wanted to share was I felt in the beginning, because we always heard over and over, this is a relationship business, a relationship business. And so I felt like, gosh, I have to develop all these relationships before I can enroll people. And I struggle with that balance. I struggled with it in the beginning a lot. And now I know that I can enroll them quickly, and then I have the rest of the time in doTERRA to develop their relationship with them. So it shifted, like flipped that for me, that the relationship can be built after they're enrolled versus before they're enrolled, so that I can become their friend and confidant and all these things before I enroll them. Now I just cut to the chase, enroll them, get in their oils, and then I focus on the relationship part. And I make them a part of my life and my team, and I care about them, and I text them, and I love on them like crazy after they're enrolled.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, beautiful.
Cynthia, I have a question. This is Wendy Mader from Wisconsin.
Hi, Wendy. Yeah.
I'll announce myself for the non-video participants. I would be curious to hear, and maybe this is something for a different call, but I would be curious to hear how various members of the team handle that relationship building, what kind of processes they have in place. And I'm not talking about after initial enrollment or that initial wellness consult, but building that long-term genuine relationship. I would really be curious to see what that looks like for everybody, maybe what systems they have in place. I think that would be really beneficial.
Thank you. I'm going to make a note here, and actually that should be coming up pretty quickly, because we're going to be talking about, now that we've talked about the class, we're going to be talking more about closing, and then we're going to be talking about that follow-up and exactly what that does look like, so that it becomes a very simple, systematic thing that you can do. Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Other comments, questions? Any questions for Justin at all? We'll put him on the spot. What's it like to be a blue diamond? Any questions for Justin?
I can talk about what it's like to be a blue diamond.
I'd love to hear it. What's it like to be a blue diamond, Justin?
It's pretty much like the way you are now, just, a little bit more money, which doesn't necessarily mean there's less concerns or less problems. It just means that if you know that scene from Forrest Gump, where Forrest is sitting on a bench, obviously talking to somebody, and he's telling the part of the story where I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but he's basically talking about selling his Apple stock. And he says, Lieutenant Dan told him that he didn't have to worry about money anymore. And he goes, good, that's one less thing to worry about. And so there is that element of your life, is that you have one less thing to worry about. In other words, there's just, in terms of paying for things, like, for example, one of the things that changed is I kind of stopped looking at price tags. And people sometimes after I bought something would say, how much did it cost? And I'd be like, I don't really remember. Now you look at the price tags of like large ticket items, but all the other stuff, you kind of don't look at it. At least I didn't. Different personalities could be different. So you just kind of stop looking at price tags on normal things. But also going back to Forrest Gump, after he didn't have to work anymore and he didn't have to worry about money, he decided to cut that grass for free. Remember, he was mowing the grass at the high school or somewhere. He decided he was going to cut that grass for free. So basically, there is time in your life to add things in that you love to do and that you like to do, which is also very rewarding. And it's very different for everybody. There's also a time, what it's like to be a brand new blue diamond is different than what it's like to be where we are, where we've been blue diamond for 6 years. When you're a brand new blue diamond, there's a lot of things sort of on your bucket list that you want to cross off or you want to experience. And after you've been around for a while, some of those things are done and you get up to some sort of a deeper level of things that you want to do, things that you want to accomplish. And so, for example, for me, the first 3 or 4 or 5 years, it was still just 100% doTERRA. I really wanted to help more people in my team make higher ranks. And then I really felt, that sort of a call or a pull to go to Portugal and do some service for my church there in Portugal for a couple of years. And that was kind of on my bucket list for Tana and I both. We wanted our kids to experience Portugal because both of us had experienced it earlier in life before we were married. And when that was crossed off, coming back for the last, we've been home almost 2 years now. I've been experiencing new things. And with that big ticket item off my bucket list, I was kind of asking myself, well, what next? What am I going to do next, And in the last 6 months, one of my friends, an old friend, came to me who was very experienced and very successful, but he needed help starting a new company. And this company plays very, very well to some of my strengths that I had from my previous career before doTERRA. And I told him, boy, I really don't want to start a company. I have no desire to build this thing with you, but I'll do it because I want to help you. And I told him, look, I'll commit to 1 year of like full-time work. And then after that, I want the freedom to be able to hire my part done out of my proceeds from the business. So the business can still go without my being directly involved. And he was totally fine with that. And so that's where I am now. I'm 6 months into this new company, which takes my time, nearly full time during the day, but I still am 100% available by telephone to my team. And I'm deriving a great sense of satisfaction at helping one person at a deeper level, because he's very dear to me. He's a very good friend. And where in doTERRA, I feel like I've helped a lot of people, like thousands. I haven't necessarily, this is a guy who wouldn't enroll in doTERRA. I talked to him early on. He would have been really great, but he didn't want to. It wasn't the right time for him. And there was still something in me that wanted to be available for him. And so as I'm in this company with him and working alongside of him and working with him, I'm getting a deep sense of satisfaction because I know that his family and his life is getting back on course. And I kind of have the freedom to do that. I have the freedom to run my doTERRA business and do this business with him. And I would have never thought that I would have done this before. So after you've had, one less thing to worry about, when you no longer worry about money, then all kinds of different things happen in your life that you would have never suspected going in.
Just get to accomplish bigger and bigger dreams, which is nice.
Yeah, and in some respects, this thing I'm doing with him is smaller, but deeper. It's like more important. It's more profound to him. And so that's one of those things. Yeah, they are bigger and bigger things. And then sometimes it's smaller things. Like I have a lot more interest now in gardening and agriculture than I ever did. And that's kind of a small thing, like having a garden. That's kind of a small thing. But I derive more pleasure from it now than I did before, which is weird. I wouldn't have known that going in. I thought I would be traveling the world doing humanitarian projects and stuff like that, but I just don't feel really drawn to that. I feel really drawn to these simpler or smaller things close to home. So
nice. Sweet. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Well, I know everybody, it's getting late. Oh, yes, please go ahead. No? Okay.
I think I have one more thing. I'd like to share one more thing. So, and thanks for reminding me of this. When you're doing this kind of a business, okay, so here's the example too. Right now I'm building another business that's completely different. It's real estate development, but I'm building it from zero. And it's very much just like building a network marketing downline in that all businesses take a massive amount of work in the beginning with no return. My children, for example, my youngest daughter, she was born 2 weeks before Tana started doing doTERRA. And a year and a half later, I was doing doTERRA with Tana. So my daughter's first memories are of me at home. Like her first memories, I'm home. And my older children, you know, they never saw me. I would be gone 80 hours a week, and I was in the military, and I was in Iraq for a year. So my two older children have a completely different, like young childhood than my youngest children now. I've always been home in the last 10 years, thanks to doTERRA. Thank goodness to doTERRA. I've loved being home. And so recently when I started this new business, I wasn't home so much. And so my son said, "So Dad, are you getting paid a lot of money to go into this office every day?" And Tana piped up from the other room, "No, he pays to be there." Because I'm paying the overhead, and I'm supporting the cost of starting this new business. And my son looked at me like I was crazy. Like, why are you paying to do this business, Dad? That's dumb, right? And that was so funny because as you start your doTERRA business, the people closest to you are going to look at you like, why are you wasting your time? What, you made $10 on that sale, and it took you how long, and you know how many times you have to do this? Because this is a business where you have to work a lot in the beginning, and the pay comes later. And if you keep going, then you get paid more and more. If any of you have ever planted a tree, like a fruit tree, most fruit trees take 3 to 4 years to give you a good crop. Outstanding trees can do it maybe a little, towards the 3 years, 2 years, maybe. But 3, 4, 5 years is when a tree starts to give its good crop, but it's still a small tree. And say a cherry tree will continue to grow for around 30 years, and then it will live for longer than that. So they produce for a long time, but it takes a few years to get to your first like heavy crops. And that's the same way it is in every business. This new business I'm doing, we have not made a dime, and it's been 6 months, and we've been working. But we're doing the right things, and it's going to come through. In doTERRA, you're going to work, and you're going to make some money when you enroll. And that's not the big money, right? In doTERRA, like when you enroll someone, it's not the big money. The big money comes from having a team of lots of people who are all sharing the oils and enrolling people and supporting their teams. That's where like big residual income comes from. Well, that's like having the trees at maturity, a lot of trees, all of them producing, and the fruit selling. So it does take a lot of work, and doTERRA, bless their hearts, will sometimes say the average time that it takes someone to get to a rank. And what you want is how long does it take to get to a rank and for it to stick? Because you don't want to do it so fast that you have to keep doing it. If you force a tree to grow too fast, you're going to have a short-lived tree. And so however long it takes is how long it takes. Because as long as you're doing it right and you're getting your fair share and you're working on the things that you don't know how to do very well, like whatever's next, whatever's not going well for you, then things will be improving and your team will be growing. But this business will take you right to the edge. Well, it takes you past your comfort zone, takes you way beyond the edge of your comfort zone. You're going to be uncomfortable doing and learning some of the things that it takes to have a really big team. That's not what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about enrolling people in a simple class, but the higher ranks will demand a little bit more of you, not necessarily in your time, but in your being authentic and weeding out the things in you that are tripping up your success. So maybe I've been on a soapbox too much, but that's definitely some great stuff to share, and I thank Anne for bringing it up.
That's awesome, Justin. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's a great way to wrap up tonight. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. And thank you everybody else for being online. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up and let you guys go, and we will see you next month. Okay.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye, Justin. Thanks again.